It is no use to say that we are born 2,000 years too late to give room to Christ. Nor will those who live at the end of the world have been born too late. Christ is always with us, always asking for room in our hearts. Now it is with the voice of our contemporaries that he speaks, with the eyes of store clerks, factory workers, and children that he gazes, and with the hands of office workers, slum dwellers, and housewives that he gives. It is with the feet of soldiers and homeless that he walks, and with the heart of anyone in need that he longs for shelter, and giving shelter and food to anyone who asks for it or needs it is giving it to Christ. We can do now what those who knew him in the days of his flesh did. I'm sure that the shepherds did not adore and then go away to leave Mary and her child in the stable, but somehow found them room, even though what they had to offer might have been primitive enough. All that the friends of Christ did in his lifetime for him, we can do. Peter's mother-in-law hastened to cook a meal for him, and if anything in the Gospels can be inferred, it is surely that she gave him the very best she had, with no thought of extravagance. Matthew made a feast for him and invited the whole town, so that the house was in an uproar of enjoyment, and the straight-laced Pharisees, the good people, were scandalized. So did Zacchaeus. Only this time Christ invited himself and sent Zacchaeus home to get things ready. The people of Samaria, despised and isolated, were overjoyed to give him hospitality, and for days he walked and ate and slept among them. It would be foolish to pretend that it is easy to always remember. If everyone were holy and handsome, with altar Christus shining in neon lighting around them, it would be easy to see Christ in everyone. If Mary had appeared in Bethlehem clothed, as St. John says, with the sun and a crown of 12 stars on her head and the moon under her feet, then people would have fought to make room for her. But that was not God's way for her. Nor is it Christ's way for himself now, when he is disguised under every type of humanity that treads on the earth. To see how far one realizes this, it is a good thing to ask honestly, what would you do or have done when a beggar asked for food at your house? Would you or did you give it on an old cracked plate thinking, that is good enough? Did you think that Martha and Mary thought that an old chip dish was good enough for their guest? In Christ's human life, there was always a few who made up for the neglect of the crowd. The shepherds did it. Their hurrying to the crib atoned for the people who would flee from Christ. The wise men did it. Their journey across the world made up for those who refused to stir one hand's breadth from the routine of their lives to go to Christ. Even the gifts that the wise men brought have in themselves an obscure recompense and atonement for what would follow later in the child's life. The woman at the foot of the cross did it too, making up for the crowds who stood by and sneered. We can do it too, exactly as they did. We are not born too late.